Hi, Sarah here. I'm going live today because I want to talk about something that often isn't given enough thought or consideration early enough in the planning and design stages of a renovation or new build project. And this is the electrical layout, and it's often the same with the lighting layout too. Look, many homeowners leave this until just before their electrical walkthrough, which happens during the construction stage. And when I'm talking about electrical, I'm talking about power points and light switches and lights, things like that. So, just to go back a step, each and every day I have a particular conversation with at least one of my three sons. Um, so it's a constant conversation from my perspective. And this conversation is mainly with my eldest, who is now 19, almost 20 years old, and is a full time worker. He has an apprenticeship. And so he's thoroughly enjoying having his own money to spend, no questions asked. And well, maybe just a few questions. I'm a mother, so don't judge me, it's my job. So, as he's not into partying, he has quite a bit of spare cash at his disposal. And at this point in time, most of it goes into buying the latest electronic stuff, computers, TVs, electric skateboards. Yes, they are a thing, and they're actually pretty much a lot of fun, if you ask me. Anyway, there's components. Look, I could go on and on and on. You name it, we probably have it. Now, the conversation I was referring to earlier relates to power, or specifically to the number of power points in his room and in the adjoining room, which has morphed into charging central, which used to be my reading nook and has now become the man cave of charging stations, or a dump zone of electronics, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not really sure how that happened. Anyway, to be honest, look, there's no number of PowerPoints that would satisfy his needs right now without us having to probably upgrade our, whole house power board and potentially putting our suburb into a brownout. A bit of an exaggeration maybe, but you need to see it to believe it. By the way, my suggestion of prioritising what he charges and when was shot down too sweet. Apparently, prioritising it isn't an acceptable strategy or even a solution in his eyes. But that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that another time. Right, let's get back on track. Which brings me to the point of this story, and that's about the importance of thinking about the electrics of a new home or home renovation early. Early as in ideally before you get a builder's quote, and definitely before construction starts. Look, in my experience, many homeowners only really start to think about their electrical requirements and how they need to be laid out, look, just before they meet their builder or electrician for the electrical walkthrough. Look, I see this all the time. And if you pop into any renovation related Facebook group or chat, there's posts all the time of people asking, I have my electrical walkthrough tomorrow or in a few days, and I just want to make sure, or I just want some advice, insert any number of phrases. You get the point. Just for the record, your electrical walkthrough is just that. You, the homeowner, will walk through the framed house, and this happens before the wall sheeting goes up. So you walk through with the electrician and usually the builder as well, and discuss where light fixtures and power points and light switches and fans and stuff like that will go. So can you see how stressful it would be and how easy it would be to forget or miss things, especially if you hadn't given it a lot of thought beforehand? So, look, I can't tell you how many of my clients are shocked that this walkthrough happens relatively early in their project. It happens in the roughing in stage, which happens after framing, and this is before the wall sheeting goes up. And by the way, I'm not suggesting that you can't or shouldn't finalise some of these things on site during this walkthrough, because I'm not. It's actually a really great idea to check that what you have planned for is actually what what you actually want, because once the walls are up, it's actually a lot easier to visualize how it will all fit together. But just be aware that any changes to your layout or to the number of switches and PowerPoints and things like that will probably come at an extra cost, but this is going to be more cost effective to add them now at this point than to try and retrofit them once the wall sheeting is up. Most builders will quote on a per point basis, like they'll have an allowance for a power, double GPO or a single one or a light switch or this type of thing. So the numbers count, but it's still really important to get it right. So by thinking about and working through your electrical requirements and your lighting plan well before you do this walkthrough will allow you more time to consider exactly what outlets and lights and things like that you want and where. And this will decrease the chances of you forgetting a PowerPoint or a light switch somewhere, like the broom cupboard, which was a problem for me. I completely forgot about charging the handheld vacuum, and another one which is relevant for this week, because most of us will put up our Christmas tree last weekend. Think about where you'll pop your tree in future and allow for a PowerPoint for your tree lights, because there's nothing more annoying than having power boards and extension cords running all over the house to power the Christmas tree lights. Look, the best way I've found to start planning your electrical layout is to get a plan of your home and work out your rough furniture layout. And this is a really critical step, because where your furniture will go will dictate to a large degree where your PowerPoints need to be. So think about it. You need to know where you're going to hang or put your TV to make sure that there's actually a PowerPoint there, and often a data point as well to power the TV. Think about floor lamps, things like that. So imagine walking through your home and think about logically where you will need a light switch or a PowerPoint. Light switches at the top and the bottom of stairs, for example, at either end of a hall, or at each exterior door. A light over the clothesline has been a game changer for me, because I always forget about my washing on the line and always go out at night to get it. Think about zoning your spaces, especially in regards to your lighting. Look, a friend of mine recently bought a house, it was a few years ago now, which was a beautiful house. There was a large open plan living, dining, kitchen space with loads of downlights, and all of those downlights were on one zone. So one switch switched on about 20 lights, and it's ridiculous. So the house is either pitch black or in blinding light, and when they turn on their lights, they feel like it's either going to trigger a brownout, and then the cost of having so many lights on for most of the day and night is like ridiculous. So this cost them a fortune to rewire a lot of the electricals to resolve like this issue, and they also had to pop in a lot of extra power points as well. So the person who had renovated the house had really skimped on the electrics. So take the time to think about how you use your home throughout the day, where your lights would ideally go, and what type of light. Is it a pendant light, a down light? And think about mood lighting and lamps. And trust me, you'll want a lamp and there will be no PowerPoint when you need it. It just seems to work that way. So really think about this. And another bonus of spending the time considering your electricals and lighting needs early is with regards to your builder's quote. Many builders' quotes, if you don't have a detailed electrical plan, will include a provisional sum for the electrical work. And more often than not, it will be on the very low side. It's really a guesstimate. So looking at your electricals and lighting will give you an opportunity to develop a more detailed specification so that you can get more accurate electrical quotes during the tender process. And most of these electrical quotes are where a variation will occur, and sometimes it can be really significant. So don't leave this one until the last minute. Put the time and the effort into getting this right. That, you know, lighting and electrical are much more cost effective to add before the wall sheeting goes up. I'm going to finish up now with a useful tip, hopefully. And so after all the electricals are roughed in, it's a great idea to take as many photos as you can, ideally with a measuring tape showing spacings, to document where the wires and the plumbing are running through the walls. Trust me, this can be really useful when you go to add a shelf or hang a picture, or even try and work out where electricals, you know, drill a hole in a wall. You know where your electricals are for future reference. So there you have it, a lesson or a tip, whatever you want to call it. Think long and hard about your electrical requirements and lighting requirements, and don't leave them until the last minute, because this is something that you'll have to deal with each and every day, and extension cords and power boards everywhere is not somewhere that you want to be. Thank you for watching. I'm trying to go live every Thursday at 11 a.m. It didn't happen today, but hopefully I'll be on time next week. That's Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is Australian Eastern Daylight Time in New South Wales and Victoria. Time zones do my head in. So if you're elsewhere, sorry, you're on your own. But regardless of where you live, I'd love you to join me. So pop a comment in the thread below and tell me where you wish you had a PowerPoint. Right, that's it for today. Until next week.